Welcome back then to the second half of the Cauldron of Darkness, and we have for your entertainment now Tony Noon, who's going to read you his story, which is actually based on fact from an event that happened here, and it's called Plot. Thank you, Tony.
Captain Merriman, that's the fella, and a more peacock popinjay you'll never meet. I've been following him for 2 weeks now, and luckily for us, he's a man of habit. He may well run the rule over his soldiers, but away from them, it's a very different matter. Tuesday evenings, he frequents an upstairs room at the Dolphin, where him and other senior officers, both Army and Navy mind you, attend for cards. Their consumption during these meetings is blooming high, resulting in them having to be escorted back to their accommodations by their still sober aides. A Jack Tar on his first night of shore leave will feel inadequate against their intake. Sunday mornings, the good captain attends the cathedral, mixing with his peers, the occasional general and other men of God. Strangely, after professing his godliness with all his devotions, he makes his way to that most holy of places, the dance hall. There he lunches, again to excess, but it's his nighttime activities that gives us a chance. As a God-fearing man, and he quite readily puts the fear of God into his own men, it is odd how much he overindulges. I suppose, as he's been to the big church, it's okay to commit a few of the capital vices. As commoners, well, we don't have the chutzpah to misbehave on a Sunday. But after the captain's sorted out his gluttony, next is his lust. And naturally, he attends the posher end of Queen Street, where gentlemen can get their needs seen to. God forbid he should go down the cheap end, right down by the dockyard gates. He is an officer after all, and he doesn't leave his tempting armful until after the stroke of midnight. Then he strolls back to this here castle. He does other stuff as well, mainly strutting, mainly shouting, but he's only happy when he's being waited on. That's the problem with buying a commission. If your bread's soft, you live soft. But anyways, I now know his movements, and I thought I'd have time to come up with a decent plot. But the rumour came through yesterday that his unit, the 72nd Regiment of Foot, is leaving Portsmouth on Tuesday. That gives us just 2 days, so we've had to have a bit of a rethink. Tonight's going to be our only chance to make him pay, especially now that they've written it was an accident. The fact is, it was caused by his ignorance, but well, he's thrown a few coins around, and that truth suddenly disappeared. That's what you get for having a bit of money. Everything goes your way. Even to make his stay here in this castle easier, then Captain Merriman got us locals to do the cooking for him. We've been doing it every night for weeks. Every evening, our women, the children, some of us older boys, we'd come over to the castle and we'd cook. Then we'd tidy everything up, go back home, and if we're lucky, we'd get an extra penny or two from the men for our efforts. Well, it was all running smoothly until 3 weeks ago. It was raining hard that night, and instead of using the courtyard, we asked to be let into one of the barrack rooms, so we wouldn't get soaked and the food wouldn't get ruined. Old Merriman, he objected. Oh, he couldn't have his men rubbing shoulders with the likes of us. So he ordered us into a storeroom just over on the other side, on the eastern side over there. My ma, who was like the unofficial leader of us, she argued against it. The food would spoil carrying it across the yard into the barracks, but the captain wouldn't have any of it, so he packed us into that room over there. I should have stayed. I should have sorted the fire. I would have seen what was going to happen. But I'd slipped away when the arguing started. I'm 15 years old, right? I should have been tending the fire. But Ellen from the butcher's, she's been helping me with some odd feelings that I've been experiencing, so I snuck away to see her. I know, she's above my station, but she's taken a fancy to my dimples and, well, I've taken a bit of a fancy to hers. So that night, I'd slipped away and we were around the back of the old Domus Day, tucked up in a corner, having a bit of a cuddle, when we heard the explosion. The flash hung in the sky, bright orange, and I could see every pimple on Ellen's face, clear as day. As the light faded, it was followed by bangs and thuds. It would have been enough to scare me out of my undershirt if I'd still been wearing it at that point. But getting up, we could see the fire over here in the castle, and I ran all the way back, putting on my clothes as I did. The damage, when I got here, stopped me cold. No, me ma and sis were inside. There was an hole blown right through the top of the eastern wall, and dense smoke and sparks billowed out from behind it. The field in front was littered with chunks of stone, shattered timbers, and other stuff I wish I hadn't seen. Soldiers and townsfolk were rushing in, carrying buckets, axes, shovels, anything to help. Despite the rain, it took 4 hours to put out the fire, and all the time we were digging out the dead and the wounded from the rubble. I carried me own ma out of there, what was left of her, and we never found me sis. By the morning, everyone apart from sis was accounted for, and 17 had lost their lives. Soldiers, women, children, even horses, all taken, but it was us townsfolk who bore the brunt. We took our dead home on the backs of carts, for which Merriman wouldn't even lend us replacement horses. He gave us no dignity for our families, and all the while he stood watching, hiding from the rain under the gates. He showed no emotion, no remorse, and he certainly didn't help any, he just watched. It felt like there was some imposition on him, and that we had caused this, and he spoke only the once, and that was to call his men back from helping us load the bodies. What an arrogant pissant. We're the ones feeding his men for soddle pay. We're the ones who clean up after them and their horses, and he didn't do a thing to help. That heartless expression of his is why I decided he needed to pay. Now, murder's an hanging offence, and murdering an officer, well, that would be a drawn-out affair, not a quick noose and drop. And I don't fancy that. My family have been through enough because of him. So we started plotting. There's a lot of ill feeling towards the captain from us locals, and everyone wanted to help. We'd all seen the state of those rooms before the explosion. The floorboards were old, with gaps big enough you could drop a crown through. For a little glowing ember from a fire, gently drifting down, it'd be no problem to slip through. And then, the only thing it could land on, in the room below, were the bags of gunpowder stored there. And anyone with half a brain knows those two don't mix. He knew the gunpowder was there. He forced us to use that storeroom, rather than the barracks. And afterwards, he was more concerned about his reputation and his career than the cost to us. So we plotted. And tonight, we do. When he's with Jenny Wren, his favourite gal, we're going to slip some opiates into his drink. We've all chipped in for him. Everyone knows someone who was killed or injured. And Doc Wormley has told us how much to dose the captain with. Just enough to stop him resisting, but not enough to stop his bits working. Then, when he's as high as a main royal sail, Jenny Wren is going to leave, and Maggie Pickering's going to take her place. When she's finished with the captain, she's going to slip away, Jenny Wren will slip back, and she'll make sure the gallant captain gets home. Now, you may think this is all very charitable of us, giving him a night of opiates and a night of women, all paid for by our kind selves. There's a reason Mary offered her services. She's got a rather unfortunate nickname, and sad to say it's deserved. She's one of the oldest gals on Queen Street, and well, stuff spreads, especially down at the dockyard end. After plying her trade, years of plying her trade, they call her Rotten Mary now, and she hasn't tumbled a jack tar in years. But everyone she did daddy with, back in her youth, well, they all left her mark. So when Captain Merriman sets off from Portsmouth, he'll be carrying a few mementos from us. Every pox, every vapour, and every scab ever known to a sailor, he'll have picked up. My ma, my sis, and the others may have died instantly, but what Mary's going to give him is going to eat him up from the inside, corrupting every part of him. And no amount of money, or praying, or mercury will save him from the agonies to come. And then he'll need a plot of his own. Thank you very much.